Hi everyone, this is Music is a Journey. I'm Peter Scove. Today's video is going to be an A to Z of band names. Let me fill in on the background story here. Several weeks back I opened YouTube and the top recommended video was one by Berkshire Mike, who was doing exactly that, an A to Z of band names. I watched the video and I started thinking maybe I'd like to try to do the same myself. And according to Mike, the original thread had been started by MGK Boston. Now recently I had watched a video on MGK Boston's channel and I didn't notice anything about an A to Z of band names, so I went back to check it out. And I scrolled down through his most recent videos and didn't see anything. So I went back to take a look at Mike's video one more time, and then I realized his video had actually been posted about 5 months earlier. So this thread was, long since done and gone. But I'd already started thinking about it, so I put it on my list of videos to make. Now the timing actually came up rather nicely because I started considering what bands to do for my list by looking at what was behind me here. And what's behind me here is a lot of the Canadian bands that I picked up back in 2020. Now recently I've been watching videos on Belgian Jasper's channel, and he's got a really great channel because he's doing interviews with various metal musicians, not only Canadian ones but also international ones as well. But he also, for the last 3 Canada Days, 2021, 22 and 23, he has put out a video, a 15-minute video, showcasing short clips of 150 Canadian rock, hard rock and metal songs. So for 3 years, that's 450 songs he's covered, and he has the one policy of only including 1 song per album. So even though there were several songs by Rush, they were always just 1 song per album. So he had a lot of bands that I knew about and I liked. He also had a lot of bands in his videos that I hadn't heard of, and I thought, yeah, I probably want to check those out. But there were a lot of bands that I have in my collection which were not included in his videos. So I made a comment about that, and he said, well, make a suggestion what bands you want me to feature in the next video. So I thought, you know what, instead of that, I'm going to make a video about it. So Belgian Jasper, you have been tagged in this video here. However, this video is not the video that I'm planning to make to suggest bands for your future video. That's actually coming later on. But since I've decided to make this exclusively Canadian band video, you might want to watch just to see, just to get some ideas anyway. Later on next year, I will watch your videos one more time, maybe around February or March, and make a list of the bands that I have that haven't been included yet in your videos, and I will make a video at that time. So anyway, that's Belgian Jasper covered, and I've got a couple other people to cover as well. So because my video is going to be exclusively Canadian bands, I thought I would give a shout out to Ben Rankin down in Australia. He tries to keep his channel pretty much Australia exclusive. Yeah, he does, when occasion requires it, include other bands, but basically he's sticking with Australian bands, or sometimes featuring some from New Zealand as well, because they're kind of the neighbors across the Tasman Sea, and they're kind of in the same position as Australia, being down under and often being overlooked by us in the Northern Hemisphere. So alright, Ben. Okay, and then the one other thing was that Jacob's music channel, what is it, KRI? Over in Denmark, he recently started a thread where every Sunday he's going to give a letter of the alphabet, and he would like us to talk about a band or bands whose name begins with that letter of the alphabet. And I thought that sounded fun, but I already had this video in mind to do, so I'm not sure if I will jump on the single letter each week thread that he's got going. But anyway, Jacob's music channel, KRI, give a shout out to him as well. Alright, enough with the preamble, let's get going. So I actually prepared a long list of notes here, but this is take 2 of this video. I actually recorded the same thing last night, but it turned out to be so bloody long. So I'm going to try to go a lot more quickly this time. So starting from A, this is Allagash from St. John's, Newfoundland. They've got 3 albums out. I think the latest one is called Dark Future, came out 2022. This is the second one, it's called Cryptic Visions. Allagash are a heavy metal, thrash metal, speed metal type band. Their lyrical themes are mostly about alien visitation, alien abductions, UFOs, And in fact, the name Allagash actually comes from a place in the state of Maine where some alien abductions were reported, I think back in the 1970s. Okay, so that's for A, Allagash. For B, we go to Edmonton, Alberta, and this is Begrime Exemius, a band that started out in 2005 as more of a black metal band, but have been moving more in a death metal direction. They have 4 albums out. This is the second one, Visions of the Scourge. This is the third one, The Enslavement Conquest. And Rotting in the Aftermath is their most recent and 4th album, and it's from 2022. So that's Begrime Exemius for B. For C, we go down to Calgary and we visit Cron Goblin. This is their 3rd album, Life for the Living, and the 4th album, Here Before. The 4th one is the latest one, released in 2019. Cron Goblin are described as rock and roll, hard rock, heavy metal, stoner rock, and also with a kind of punk or hardcore punk. So there's quite a blend of stuff in here, but I would say basically it's like really aggressive stoner rock where you're not lying back on the sofa smoking a joint, but instead you're like screaming at the walls or something like that. But anyway, cool stuff. Cron Goblin for C. For D, I go with Droid, who are from Brampton and Mississauga, Ontario. Droid is a 3-piece act. They are described as progressive or technical thrash metal. They do have a strong Voivod influence in their music. They have some of those classic Voivod type chords and riffs. Interestingly, 2 members of the band also play in a band, Freeways. And Freeways is more of a kind of late 70s melodic hard rock outfit, who also have some great stuff. Droid formed in 2012, and they have only 1 album out so far, as well as an EP. This is Terrestrial Mutations, which came out in 2017. So for D, this is Droid. For E, we go to Toronto, and I give you Electric Magma. Electric Magma is a 3-piece unit. They are basically heavy riff rock. Kind of stoner rock or doom, stoner metal, doom metal type thing, but basically heavy riff instrumental. They do have a vocalist credit on their debut album, which goes back to, I think it was like 2000 or something. This is their 2nd album. It's called Karaoke Bitch Slap, which I think is one of the best album titles in my entire collection. Their most recent album was 2015. It is called Silver Ball. There's been nothing released since then, but according to, I think, both Bandcamp and Metal Archives, the band should still be active. So for E, that's Electric Magma. For F, we go to Vancouver, and this is Funeral Circle. Funeral Circle formed in 2007, however, they wrapped up in 2020. So that's it for the band. They had one self-titled album released in 2013. That's this here, Funeral Circle. They are an epic doom metal band, inspired by the likes of Candlemass. So if you're looking for some really cool, epic doom metal, see if you can pick up a copy of Funeral Circle. That's it for F. For G, we go to Kelowna, British Columbia, to a band that started in 2006. This is Gomorrah. They have 3 albums out so far. The first one was released in 2013. This is called The Haruspecs. That was the 2nd album, 2016, and then self-titled Gomorrah from 2019. So yeah, starting out apparently as a black metal. But these 2 albums here are more of a technical death metal or brutal technical death metal. Actually pretty impressive sounds on these 2 albums here if you like that kind of thing. So for G, that is Gomorrah. H takes us over to Halifax for a band that started in 2000. This is Holocaust, and this Darkness Descending is their debut album from 2002. And this one, What Is Not, is their most recent album, but that goes way back to 2014. They are a thrash, blackened thrash band, so pretty intense stuff. Apparently they are still active, there just have not been any new releases since then. So for H, that's Holocaust from Halifax. For I, let's go to Regina, Saskatchewan, and see In Darkness. Here's In Darkness. They formed, let's see here, way back in 2000, but are still active. They have 2 albums out. One of them, My Hatred on Display, is from 2012. And this second one here, Waters Above, is from 2019. They have an interesting sound because it has a very strong, like heavy alternative 1990s sound to them. And in fact, fans have said they sound like a cross between Tool, Pantera, Metallica, and Pearl Jam on steroids. So for that's In Darkness. And I happen to know occasionally someone from In Darkness leaves a comment on my videos. So in case you guys are watching, hey guys, how's it going in Regina? Alright, In Darkness. For J, let's go to Edmonton, Alberta and take a look at Juliet Ruin. This is their 1 full-length album, Old Stardust, Love and Chaos. And this is their latest release, which goes back to March 2021, Dark Water. It's a 4-song EP. They have a new song released earlier this year, so hopefully there's some new material coming. They are basically an alternative metal band with female vocals, Jess Fleming, excellent clean vocals and really good harsh vocals. Also, the men have provided harsh vocals on the album as well, but on the EP they have stopped doing that. So if you want to check out some of their music, find them on YouTube and also find a little bit in my last video. For J, that's Juliet Ruin. K takes us to Quebec, to De Montagne and Montreal for Car Chaos. Car Chaos formed back in 2009. They have 2 full-length albums so far. This is Empire, featuring Veronica Ortiz Rodriguez on vocals, and Children of the Void, featuring Vicky Boyer on lead vocals, and a guest appearance from Morgan Lander of Kitty. Since 2019, the release date of this one, Morgan Lander has become the lead vocalist for the band, although there haven't been any new releases since then. They are described as melodic death metal, but they also have a symphonic element to them as well. So for a female-fronted melodic death metal band with a symphonic touch, check out Car Chaos for K. Keeping with the female-fronted metal band theme here, we'll go to Hamilton, Ontario and take a look at Lutharo for L. Krista Shipperbottom is the lead vocalist here. They formed back in 2014. 2018, their first EP, Unleash the Beast. 2020, Wings of Agony, their second EP. And in 2021, they released their debut full-length album called Hyrith, which I've been meaning to get, and I have it on standby for so long now. I'm going to get it. And I should, because actually next year they're planning to release Chasing Euphoria, and they already have a song released on their website, I think, so you can hear how that sounds. So for L, that's Lutharo from Hamilton, Ontario. For M, perhaps a little bit more familiar name, this is Martyr, a technical death metal band formed back in 1994. However, they split up in 2012, and according to the Metal Archives from 2023, they became active again. They have become active again. These are the 2 of their albums, A Warp Zone and Feeding the Abscesses. Martyr are probably best known for having Daniel Mongrain on guitars, who is now has been playing in Voivod since the late 2000s, going by the name of Chewy. So this is the band that he was in before. Martyr, for the letter M. Another technical death metal band out of Quebec, this time Montreal, again also formed back in 1994, but wrapped up in 2015. This is Neuraxis. They had 6 albums out between 1997 and 2011. This is their 2008 album, The Thin Line Between. So for N, technical death metal from Quebec with Neuraxis. For O, let's go to Windsor, Ontario and check out Oni. They are described as a progressive metalcore band. This is their debut album from 2016. It's called Iron Shore, and they have the unique addition of an instrument called a xylosynth. It's actually very difficult for me to say that. Xylosynth. Ugh. Anyway, since then there have been a couple of more albums released, and I understand that the style is changing a little bit. Recently, Belgian Jasper had an interview with Jake Oni on his YouTube channel, And it sounds like the more recent music is going away from this progressive metalcore style. But basically, Jake Oni says he wants to do lots of different stuff with his music. So anyway, for O, that's Oni. For P, let's go back to Toronto and check out Possessed Steel. This is a heavy metal band whose lyrics are a little bit more towards the like a knights and fantasy type thing. I remember catching mentioning of a unicorn in one of the lyrics here. Possessed Steel, this is their album Adris. It's their only full-length album so far. The band originally formed in 2010, went on until 2014, took a break for a year, and from 2015 they have continued onwards. They have released 2 EPs as well, and let's hope that we get a second album coming out from these guys eventually. So for P, that is Possessed Steel. Q, let's talk about Quebec Tech Death again. Formed in 1993 and carrying on to 2010, this is Quo Vadis. This is their second album, Day Into Night, which was released in the year 2002. Between 1996 and 2004, they released a total of 3 albums. But yeah, sadly, they have also split up. But anyway, that's for Q, Quo Vadis. R, we go back to Calgary, and this is Ravenous, also known as Ravenous EH, the EH standing for Eternal Hunger. Probably a good thing to add that in because according to the Metal Archives, there are 10 bands in the world going by the name of Ravenous, but only one going by the name of Ravenous EH. This is a power metal act, and this was started by a fellow going by the name of Rav. One name is R.A. Voltaire. However, he was formerly known as Rob the Arab Villain in a band called Villainizer, which was kind of it was a thrash band, but making fun of the fact that people kept saying that all Arabs are terrorists. And Rob, the Arab Villain himself, is of Arab ethnicity. So he decided to make a kind of joke about that and made this band Villainizer. Their debut album was called I Bomb New York. He used to go out wearing the white Arab robes, sorry, don't know the name, and carrying a fake, like a dynamite bundle with a time bomb on it for their live shows. Got him in a bit of trouble when they tried to cross the border into the US, though, carrying a, you know, dynamite bundle and being Arabic. But anyway, after 3 albums, he folded up Villainizer, thought the joke had run its course, and he started up Ravenous. So this is the debut album, Eat the Fallen. They had an EP as well, and they have since put out 2 full-length albums, one of them called Hubris from 2021, and then 2022, Stark Raven Mad Volume 1. So I guess we can expect a Volume 2 coming out sometime as well. Did I say they're power metal? They're power metal. Anyway, that's a cool band, Ravenous EH out of Calgary for R. Alright, for S, we're going to jump back over to St. John's, Newfoundland again, and we're going to check out a band called Chevy. Chevy formed back in 1993, and apparently they are still active, although, like with a couple of other bands, their latest release was 2014. This is their second album here called The Electric Sleep. It's from 1998. And their third album, Celestial Hi-Fi, from the year 2000. They are a stoner rock band, great heavy riffs, and man, the vocalist Sean Hennessy really sounds like classic 70s Ozzy Osbourne. Really. So, for S, that's Chevy from Newfoundland. For T, we go back to Kelowna, and I'm finding that Kelowna, British Columbia, actually has quite an active metal scene. This is Terrifier, a perfectly typical thrash metal band, like traditional thrash metal band. This is Weapons of Thrash Destruction, which was their second album, released back in 2017. However, they have had a third album now, Trample the Weak, Devour the Dead, released this year, so I'm going to have to check that out. The opening track and the final track on here are really the best ones, but this is one ripper of a thrash album. I love the cover art too. So this is Terrifier for T. For U, let's go running back to Saskatoon and meet up with Untimely Demise, also a thrash metal band. They have 5 albums out so far. This one, Systematic Eradication, is their second one. And No Promise of Tomorrow, this is their 4th one. Untimely Demise formed, it looks like Looks like they formed way back in 2002, and is it 2002 or 7? I can't read my own handwriting. Could be a 2, could be a 7. They're continuing on to the present, though. Thrash band and 5 albums. Their latest album, 2022, was called Maverick. So, there you go. For you, Untimely Demise. For V, we'll go back to Calgary one more time for some more power metal. This is Viathan, and their debut album, The Peregrine Way, and their second album, Cynosure. Unfortunately, Viathan are on hold now. They formed in 2006, went on to 2016, and when I was buying these albums and in contact with one of the band members, he said that they would really love to do a third album, but everybody's just tied down with other things right now. So the band is on hold. Hopefully, Viathan, if you're listening, thanks for the t-shirt, by the way. Hopefully you will come out with a third album. But anyway, for now, for V, that's Viathan. After recording video insert, I realized last night when I started editing the video that I totally skipped W. Reason being was the band I was going to use for W, Wasted Heretics out of Saskatchewan, they don't actually have any physical copies available. I have only their download from their first album, and so there was nothing to pull off the table here behind me. However, I also realized mentioning yet another band from Saskatchewan, I hadn't mentioned anyone from Manitoba. So instead, for W, I'm going to mention Wilt from Winnipeg, Manitoba. They had an EP out at first, then this was their first full-length album, Moving Monoliths. This is a kind of combination of black metal and doom metal, so very slow and heavy black metal. Interesting. And then their next album moved into a more atmospheric black metal style. This is their album Ruin. Very much a painful album because it was a dear friend of the singer-songwriter who passed away during the writing of this album. They also released a new album this year, well actually an EP, back in June or July. So that one also, also has the kind of atmospheric black metal, but it seems to include a little bit more slower, clean guitar parts as well. So anyway, that is Wilt for W from Winnipeg. Alright, now we'll go to Vernon, British Columbia for X, and this is Zool. I just talked about them in my last video as well. They are basically a black metal band, but with some, maybe blackened death metal is a bit better. I featured some of the music in my last video as well. This is their second album, and they also had an EP. So if you want to check them out on YouTube. Check them out on my last video. For X, from Vernon, British Columbia, Zool. And yet another band to have been featured in my last video. Y, also from Calgary, Ye Goat Herd Gods. Ye Goat Herd Gods have a death metal vocal style, but the music covers atmospheric or melodic black metal, a bit of a death metal sound, also some traditional metal, a bit of speed metal, covers quite a variety. So it's a very interesting mix of music, but always with that deep death metal vocals. So for Y from Calgary, this is Ye Goat Herd Gods. And that brings us down to Z, and we're going to talk about Zom from Moncton, New Brunswick. They are described as a psychedelic doom metal band. I would say even atmospheric doom metal band. They've got 3 albums out so far. This is their second one, Divination. They formed back in 2013, have been going on to the present. Last album was 2019. So yeah, again, we're hoping to hear something new coming out eventually. This album here follows the kind of like the Yes Close to the Edge style of having 2 songs that are around the 10-minute mark and then 1 song that's near the 20-minute mark. Really long, atmospheric, almost meditative type pieces. The one track, the longest one, having a little kind of like a finger chime, cling sound, like for almost like a Buddhist meditation thing. Some atmospheric woodwind background, low keyboards, and then these like slow, heavy chords with a bit of an Asian feel to it. So something really different. If you want that kind of almost meditative feel, but that keeps you like pinned down to the spot because it's so heavy, then check out some Zom. Okay, and that's it for my A to Z of band names. All of these bands from Canada. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you again in another one soon. Hello to all those people I gave shout outs to there. Thanks for watching. See you in another video. Bye.